Hi, I'm kchoi. Welcome back to my channel. A couple of months ago, I shared how I saved $50,000 to go to grad school in London, and several of you asked if I could do a more general budgeting video, so here we are. Now, I've always been really good at saving my money and following a rule of putting aside a certain amount into my savings every time my paycheck would come in, but I haven't always had the best handle on actually budgeting and spending my money. I would always fall into this trap of getting my paycheck and putting aside money into my savings right away, so I'm covered there. But then I would, spend money on shopping, dining out, gas, whatever it was, and not really think about it. Then when the time came for me to pay my credit card bills, I would realize that I didn't really have enough money and I would need to wait for my next paycheck in order to pay those off. So the cycle that I would get into was get my paycheck, put money into savings, pay off the previous month's bills. Paycheck, savings, previous month's bills, and I was just always trying to catch up. I tried using different budgeting apps like Mint or Personal Capital or even my own Excel sheet budgeting, but none of it was really seeming to help me get out of that cycle. Until I was introduced to this app/website called You Need a Budget, or YNAB, and it really did change the way I thought about budgeting. Now, before we continue with the rest of the video, I want to thank today's sponsor, which is not YNAB, but hello, it is Warby Parker. The number one question I get on my channel by far is, where are your glasses from? And the answer, of course, is Warby Parker, and I've been wearing Warby Parker glasses since 2015, so over 4 years. So I'm so excited to be working with them and to be sharing about them with you. I also think it's fitting for this video about budgeting because prescription glasses can often cost hundreds and hundreds of dollars, but Warby Parker glasses start at $95, including the prescription lenses, which also include anti-glare and anti-scratch coatings. It's also super convenient because you can go online, pick out 5 frames to try out in the comfort of your own home for 5 days for free with no obligation to buy, and they ship for free and include a prepaid return shipping label. And if that isn't convenient enough, they also have an iPhone 10 app which lets you try on glasses virtually. In my opinion, they have so many different stylish options, and you can even take a quiz online to help you narrow them down and find the perfect pair to fit your style and face shape. Again, I love Warby Parker. These frames are from Warby Parker. Unfortunately, this particular color is discontinued, but there are lots of other styles that you can try on. So be sure to head to warbyparker.com/kchoi to order your free home try-on kit today. So thank you again, Warby Parker, for sponsoring this video. Let's get back to budgeting. My brother is the one who introduced me to YNAB, which is all about getting ahead of your expenses and gaining total control of your money, which for me, being in the cycle of always having to pay my previous month's bills, this is exactly what I needed. Now, YNAB is a budgeting app and website, but it's more of a method, and it's based on 4 rules of budgeting. Number 1, give every dollar a job. Number 2, embrace your true expenses. 3, roll with the punches. And 4, age your money. They actually have a lot of free resources on their website, like blog posts and virtual workshops that go into more detail on all of these rules. So I will link where you can find those in the description box below. For this video, I'm going to focus on 2 of those 4 rules that I consciously use every day and have really helped me gain control of my money. And those 2 are give every dollar a job and roll with the punches. Starting with give every dollar a job, this is also called, or very similar to, the envelope method. Envelope. Anyway, in this rule, you create an envelope, whether it's figuratively or literally. In my case, it's figuratively, and each of those envelopes is for a category of your spending. For example, I have envelopes for savings, and then immediate obligations like rent and car insurance, expenses like gas and groceries, and then things that are just for fun, like shopping, dining out. The way it works is, as soon as you get your paycheck, you give each of those dollars a job by placing them in a particular envelope. Sounds easy enough, and I think everyone thinks that they follow this rule, but there is a slight but significant difference between this method and more typical ways of budgeting. In other apps and methods that I've used, you do determine how much you'll be spending in those same categories, but instead of allocating your current existing money into those categories, you just track your spending and then look back at it at the end of the month. Then when you're looking back at the end of the month, you realize, oh, I spent way too much money on dining out and I need to cut down on that next month. But then at that point, that money's already gone or overspent and you're catching up on it that next month. And then you don't have the money to pay off other obligations or expenses. But with the envelope method, you know that you have the money in a certain category, so you can spend confidently and not feel guilty because you've already given all of your dollars a particular job. There are a couple of challenges with this method. The first one being the transition to even using this method, because if you're like me, you are in a cycle of catching up to your previous month's bills. So that first month that you're trying to do this method, you're not only working to pay off the previous month's bills, but then you're also trying to allocate that present money for that month's bills. So you have to be very, very disciplined in the first month or two that you're transitioning because you just don't have as much money to spend. You're basically transitioning from paying your bills retrospectively to preparing for them proactively. So having to do those at the same time is really difficult, but once you're able to go over that hump, then it becomes a lot easier. The other challenge is that you need to track every expense you make in order for this method to work, because if you're not aware of how much money you're taking out of each envelope, then it kind of defeats the purpose. Again, this is a really difficult transition, or it was at least for me, but it was the most effective one when it came to managing my money. And now I am never behind on my credit card bills, and I'm able to pay with the money that I have currently, and it feels really good. So the other rule I want to talk about is roll with the punches. This rule is all about being flexible with your money and with your expenses and not freaking out when you overspend in a particular category. Again, if you think about other budgeting apps, you kind of set what your monthly budget needs to be every single month, and you're supposed to stick to that or stay below that every month. But that just isn't really realistic because every month and every week even can be so different. Yes, you'll have certain expenses that are always the same, like your rent, and other things like groceries and gas should have a general average amount, but still there are things that can happen that really change the way that our expenses pan out every month. For example, I travel a lot for work, so on the days or weeks that I'm traveling, I really don't spend much on groceries or on dining out because my meals are covered while I'm traveling. But let's say I take a spontaneous road trip one weekend with my friends and I spend more on gas than I normally put in that envelope for the month. Well, since I have control of my expenses and know which job each dollar has and where each dollar is, I know that I can pull from the groceries envelope and use that to cover the overspending, and then I can move on. So even though I spent more on gas in that situation than I had allocated previously, I'm in control of my money, know where all of it is, so I can move things around if I need to. And then you just don't have to feel bad about it like you do with other methods where you see that you're in the red and you're like, dang it, like I overspent again. Of course, if you find yourself moving money around all the time, then you might need to reconsider the jobs that you're giving to every dollar at the beginning of every month or every 2 weeks when you get your paycheck. But in general, being flexible and rolling with the punches of different expenses that vary from week to week is really helpful. Ideally, you're looking ahead at these types of changes, and when you are doing rule 1 and giving every dollar a job, you're keeping that in mind. But having the control will help you when things that are unexpected come up. And again, as you gain more control and knowledge of where all your money is at a certain time, this will become a lot easier to do. YNAB has a lot of free resources online that you can use, and these were just a couple of the things that have helped me gain more control of my own budget and my money, and have helped me save more and get ahead of my credit card bills. YNAB does have a subscription fee. It is $84 a year or $7 a month, but you can use my referral link, which I will link in the description box, and you can get a month for free. Again, this video is not sponsored by YNAB. It's sponsored by Warby Parker, but I love this program and it's helped me a lot, so just thought that I would share it in case it could help you too. I want to reiterate that the first couple of months can be really difficult and frustrating, but it was worth it for me to stick it out, so hopefully it can help you a lot too. And even if you don't end up getting the subscription, again, there are lots of free resources on their website that you can use. That is it for this video. I hope it gave you some insight into how I manage and take control of my money, and I really hope that it helps you do the same. Please be sure to open the description box for any referral links and resources that I mentioned in the video, and leave a comment with any other budgeting tips or stories that you have. I would love to read them. As always, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.